Hi, this is Jonathan. Today I want to show you some of the new features that have landed in the 0.9.6 series of Jamovi. Um, I'm going to show you multi-file import and our new templating system. To begin with, I'm going to demonstrate computed variables and filters. A lot of you already use Jamovi's computed variables and filters, but I sort of need to demonstrate these first because they show, I think, the real value of the templating system and the multi-file import. So bear with me. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to open a data file, p1.csv. So this is a data file for the Stroop experiment, or the Stroop task. And it's been created in lab.js. If you've never used lab.js before, I'd encourage you to check it out. I'll try and have a little blurb about it in the blog post accompanying this video. So, as you can see, this data set contains all of the steps in the experiment. So first of all, the user reads some instructions, then we have the fixation cross is presented, followed by the Stroop screen, followed by the intertrial interval, followed by the fixation cross, followed by the Stroop screen, followed by the intertrial interval, and so on and so forth. So this data file contains all of the information, but we're not actually that interested in everything here. We're actually only interested in these Stroop screen frames. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a filter, and I'm going to say sender, that's the name of that column, is equal to Stroop screen, like so. And so now we've only got the Stroop screen frames enabled. The other thing I can do is I can hit this eyeball here, and it hides the filter column, and it also hides all of those filtered rows. So now I'm only looking at the Stroop screen rows, which is nice. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through, I'm just going to delete a whole bunch of columns here. You may notice that Jamovi is a little bit sluggish at the moment. That's just because I'm using the screen recorder, and it slows it right down. But on your computer it'll be nice and snappy. Okay, so here's Word. That's the word that was presented to the user. What else will we keep? We'll keep the user's response. We'll keep the duration, that is the reaction time. And I'm going to keep the color of the word. And everything else I'm going to delete. Okay. So here we have the color, the reaction time, the response of the user, and the color of the word. No, sorry, and the word that was presented. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to score each of these trials. And to do that, I'm going to start by creating a new computed variable. So I'm going to say, I want to score whether they're correct or not. And I'm going to go, when is a Stroop trial response correct? It's when the color is equal to the response. Okay, and what you can see here is it's got true, 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 false. And you can see this one's false because the color was blue and the person responded with green. But true and false isn't that nice to use, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an if statement here. If the color is equal to response, then I'm going to say correct. Otherwise, I'm going to say incorrect. Like so. Okay, so that's, now we've got a column scoring each of the trials as to whether the person responded correctly or not. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rate each of the trials as to whether they're congruent or not. So I'm going to call this column congruence. And then I'm going to say, so what does a congruent trial mean? It means that where the color is equal to the word. Again, I'm going to use an if statement, congruous, incongruous, like so. Okay, so now we've categorized our trials as either correct or incorrect, and whether they're congruous or incongruous. Okay, so now we can begin analysing this. We can come over here, and I'm just going to do some descriptives. So I'm going to start by adding duration, that is the response time, and I'm going to add whether the person was correct or not as well. So what we're seeing is we've got ends of 24, there are 24 trials, and we can see that the mean reaction time was 1059. The other thing we can do is we can turn on frequency tables, and this gives us counts of correct responses and incorrect responses. So 21 correct responses and 3 incorrect. But what's interesting in this task is the Stroop effect, and what effect does congruous versus incongruous have on reaction time and accuracy. So to look at that, we can split by congruence. And now we're looking at congruous and incongruous side by side. So we can see that there are 12 of each trials, and we can see that the reaction time was 920 milliseconds for congruous trials and about 1.2 seconds for incongruous. So we're getting a slight Stroop effect here. Similarly, we can see when the trials were congruous, 12 correct. When they were incongruous, they got 9 correct and 3 incorrect. While we're here, maybe we want to look at a histogram of reaction times. We can do that too. Yeah, so that's looking nice. Okay, so that's filters and computed variables. What I'm going to show you next is the multi-file import. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to import, but this time I'm going to click this little box here so I can select multiple files, and I'm going to select P1 and P2. The other way, I could just use the browse and select multiple files that way as well. And so now I've done that, I've imported both of these data sets into this one session, if you like. And see how we've created this new column here called source, and it says P1, and then down here it says P2. So these two data files have been joined together. And you can see that's what we're getting here. We're getting ends of 24. But the problem here is that, sure, we've joined these two data files together, but we don't actually want to analyze all of this data together. We want to separate it by participant as well. So participant, here it's called source. Let me just change the name of that. I'm going to call that participant. Make it a little bit clearer. Okay, come back here, and I'm going to split by participant as well. And so now what we're looking at is the congruous and the incongruous trials for P1 and P2. And maybe this isn't the natural order that we want to be looking at them with. What I can do is I can just change the order of these here. And so now if we come down to the mean, you can see that participant 2 had an 874 millisecond reaction time and a 1.3 second reaction time for incongruous trials. So we're getting a stronger Stroop effect here. Similarly, we can come down here and we can compare P1, participant 1 and participant 2. Okay, so that is the multi-file import. The next thing I'm going to show you is templates. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go export, and I'm going to export this as a Jamovi template. And maybe I'll call it calc. Okay, now what I can do is I can come along and I can open this template. And you'll notice that it's completely empty. But what I can do is I can come along here and I can import data files into it. I can go P1, P2, and P3, and I can say import. And now when I do this, you can see all these, there's P1, this, well, let's just hide these to make it easier on ourselves, P2 and P3, and you can see that the analysis is run for all 3 participants. And so hopefully you can see that a template works a little bit like a script file. You can export it, you can send it to a colleague to analyze their data, and you can set analyses up in advance. So yeah, so that's the Jamovi template system combined with the multi-file import, and all of this is available in the 0.9.6.2